Welcome to the Comicstorian channel, where we take some of the lore within your favorite comic books, video games, and movies, and break them down into digestible audio bites, allowing you to take an audio drama and catch up on your favorite pop culture icon within your busy day. Recently, we've been doing a lot of video game lore recapped in a video for you, or we've been doing the comic books related to your favorite video games. And today, we're going to be covering the League of Legends storyline that Marvel has been creating to give you a little backstory to some of your favorite heroes. But I actually don't play League of Legends, and I felt it would be weird if I tried to get amped up and hyped for some lore that I don't really know that much about. Instead, you're going to get Dan, our producer, recording this audio for you, as he religiously plays League of Legends on a nightly basis, streaming it on a couple of days out of the week. So, be kind to Dan, and let me know in the comments down below what you think of his presentation of League of Legends. Ashe.
As Ashe sails through the icy winds, she uses her cloak to cover her face, thinking of how this happened, how she came to be. It all started with her mother, Gretha. She was the spear, she was the axe, she was the war mother of their tribe. Ashe's aunt Helner once stood up to Gretha, but it was not for power or leadership as some would think. She stood up because she saw Gretha was unfit to rule. They should be preparing for the coming winter, not chasing some myth. But Gretha would not let her speak. The only way her mother spoke was through combat, and Gretha never lost. Helner survived, maybe because Gretha and her Bloodsworn were always so quick to celebrate victories, or perhaps because of pity. No one knows for sure. The Frost Priest Malcolm looks over Helner's injuries, saying she will live. But the War Mother, they need to. Ashe stops him, saying she knows. Gretha then calls out to everyone that tomorrow they will raid the Ice Children and take what they need for the winter. Ashe knew that this was the wrong time to go raiding. They were still weakened from their other losses. But with Gretha's victory over Helner, only Gretha's truth would be spoken. Later that night, Ashe went to her mother's chambers to try and convince her to not continue with the raid. But like always, Gretha was looking at her maps. It could be days before Gretha would eat or even sleep in search of the fabled Throne of Avarosa. The Throne of Avarosa was supposed to be the hall and hoard of the great goddess, but it was seen as a disgraced myth, one denied by the Frost Priests. Ashe asked why was it that Helner challenged her, and as Gretha says it doesn't matter, Ashe tells her it does. This obsession with the myth of Avarosa's throne, it's getting out of control again. Gretha stops her, saying that their tribe is poor. This is how they will return to greatness. This is their destiny. Ashe tries to pull her mother away to try and eat something, but Gretha asks her how her training has been going. Can she hail her daughter as a true Iceborn yet? Ashe weakly says that she is ready, and Gretha says to show her by picking up her weapon, reveal its strength. Gretha's axe and spear were made of the magical substance known as true ice. Even the tiniest sliver of it could mean death. Only a trained Iceborn can hope to touch these weapons and survive. Even as an Iceborn and even separated by a hilt, the cold of true ice forces itself upon you. Ashe picks up the axe, remembering what Malcolm told her. The ice is not pain, it is surrender. Ashe tries to hold the axe, but the pain becomes unbearable, and she screams as she drops it with a loud clang. Gretha kneels down, saying she did well for being so young. She makes her mother very proud. In time, she will wield true ice and become a great war mother. That is her destiny. The next day, the tribe sets out for the Ice Children's home, but Malcolm fears that the Hearthbound, the non-Iceborn of their tribe, cannot keep up pace. Ashe tells him to use his magic to help heal them as they move. The sooner they can return, the better. But just as Ashe says that, one of Gretha's Bloodsworn, Irael, laughs, saying, "Have faith, Gretha has never lost a battle." Irael is the oldest of Gretha's Bloodsworn, and presumed to have given Gretha all three of her births. However, Ashe was the only one to survive till spring and be named. Irael was the one who taught Ashe the sword and how to survive, but he only sees her in her future glory as the next War Mother. But still, the raid is not what their people wanted. It was not the first time Gretha has risked everything chasing after Avarosa's throne, and it certainly won't be the last. And it's not Gretha who pays for it. It's the Hearthbound who do. The Hearthbound are warmbloods who have not been touched by the power of true cold, but their bravery was always beyond reproach. Weeks go by until finally they arrive at the Ice Children's settlement. It was just as they hoped for, a herd of Elnuks. It was enough food to last them through the winter. But as Gretha sees the herders run, she says they only run because they have something important to protect. Gretha then tells everyone that they will continue onward. They will leave the herd and reach the mountain before reinforcements can be gathered. Malcolm tried to stop Gretha, but when Gretha denied even listening to him, the Frost Priest became angry. He told her that she has sought the throne for years. She has driven away their best warriors and even fought against her own sister. They arrived in the land of a hated enemy for what? Not food or vengeance, but a child's myth. Gretha told him if he wishes, he can challenge her and test his weapons. But Malcolm says he will not fight alone. He speaks for the Hearthbound. The two clash, but before Gretha could deliver the final blow, Ashe stops the fight, saying the Hearthbound are slowing them down. They can climb faster without them. Now, Ashe didn't believe that, but she said it because she knew it would be their only chance to let them stay back. After some consideration, Gretha tells Malcolm to stay behind with them, and that he only lives because her daughter is merciful. 6 more days they marched. The Bloodsworn were bound by their oaths, but even Iceborns have their limits. Night falls once more, and Gretha still continues not to eat or sleep, always going over her maps. Ashe tells her mother that she needs to eat, but when Gretha says she will eat when they find the throne, Ashe shouts that there is no throne! There is nothing at the end of her stupid maps! It's always the same. How many times will she chase this? Why can't she just see? Gretha stares off, saying no. This time she just wanted, not again. Ashe holds her mother, saying it's okay. But as the winds pick up, Irael shouts, ambush! Ashe and Gretha look up, and Ashe asks what they should do. Gretha begins saying she's sorry, but Ashe snaps her back, telling her she needs to give the Bloodsworn orders. Please! Gretha looks up at Ashe, saying, run. Run! Ashe tries to get Gretha to stand, but Irael walks past them with his hammer, saying he will handle this. Irael is the strongest of the Bloodsworn, and he is also the first to die. The Draklorn came at them like an avalanche, an unstoppable, annihilating darkness. Malcolm was the only Frost Priest she knew, and this power is even beyond him. Ashe picks Gretha up, telling the others to slow down the rider, and 2 of the Bloodsworn step forward, saying, with honor. It was the first time Ashe had ever given an order, but she knew that her first ever order was to send those men to die. Ashe, Gretha, and the 2 remaining Bloodsworn hurry up the mountain to an ice bridge, saying if they get across, they can destroy it and be safe. If Avarosa's throne really is at the top of this mountain, then they will find it. But as Ashe steps forward, Gretha stops her, saying no. She doesn't understand it. Avarosa's throne was for her all along. It was always for her. Now go, destroy the bridge after they cross. Ashe shouts for her to wait, but one of the Bloodsworn picks Ashe up, saying, yes, War Mother. As the Draklorn begin to get closer, Gretha smiles, saying, my name is Gretha. I am the spear and the axe. Now come. As Gretha charges into battle, Ashe screams she can still make it. But one of the Bloodsworn tells her Gretha knew exactly how this would end, and then slams his axe down on the bridge. Gretha falls to her knees, wiping the blood off of her face, saying it's a shame she was defeated by a Frost Priest. A man who could defeat her would have made a fine Bloodsworn for her daughter. Gretha then looks up and spits in the man's face and begins laughing. Ashe watches as her mother is struck down, but with nothing more she could do, she and the Bloodsworn retreat. The next morning, Ashe sees the Draklorn still following, and one of the Bloodsworn says he has never seen a Frost Priest that strong before. The Ice Children are most likely already preparing for an attack. The Bloodsworn says they are oath-bound. They cannot leave. But Ashe stops them, saying she releases them from that oath. Helnir will need help. Now go! The Bloodsworn hug Ashe, telling her to be safe. And so, Ashe continued alone. Ashe carried with her what equipment she could, but as she marches, so did the Draklorn. The march did at least wane the priests' numbers, but each passing day they got closer. 4 days pass, and Ashe has not eaten or slept, and Ashe was beginning to lose her supplies. But still, Ashe pressed on, climbing the mountain, finally reaching the highest peak, and what she found was nothing. Just then, there's a crunch of the snow being crushed under her boot, and Ashe starts to run. She runs towards the grave in the middle of it all, trying to think of a plan, and then it hits her. The sun is coming up. If she can position herself just right, when the sun rises, it will blind the priest, and she will have a chance to attack. Ashe tries to pull away the stones on the grave, and one of the priest's followers asks what is she looking for. Ashe yells back, a stone heavy enough to break their teeth with. The priest tells her that is enough, and begins to take off his helmet, and when he does, he reveals himself to be Malcolm. Ashe steps back, asking, he betrayed them? And Malcolm says for years, she and Gretha lived because he promised his masters he could stop her from following in Gretha's insanity. Ashe yells, asking, was he hoping that she may ask him for his oath and lead him to her bed? Malcolm tells her, a Frostguard may take no oath except to the faith of the endless cold and to Lysandra, their mistress. He knew his fate. Just before he could finish his sentence, the sun comes up, blinding him, and Ashe strikes. She leaps over the pile of rocks, taking one and bashing it into one of the followers. She grabs the axe left behind and uses it to defend herself from the second follower. But as Malcolm tells her to stop, Ashe buries the axe in the follower's side. Malcolm runs over, grabbing her and throwing her down, saying he did not want this. He did not want to do this. But she must sleep now. Even the memory of her mother's quest must die. Ashe tries to break free from Malcolm's grip, but he is too strong. She struggles, reaching for something, anything, and then she touches it. The true ice. Ashe's eyes widen, remembering that Malcolm told her, the ice is not pain, it is surrender. Power rushes through Ashe's body, and as Malcolm is knocked away, Ashe stands. Her blonde hair, blowing in the wind, soon turns to white, and her eyes glow like ice. She tells Malcolm to know this. He faces the daughter of Gretha. Her name is Ashe, and she is the bow. Ashe pulls back and releases an icy arrow into Malcolm's chest. She walks over dozens of dead bodies frozen in the ice below her feet, saying she cannot say for sure if this field of death was the goal of her mother's quest, if it was truly Avarosa's throne, and it isn't the sort of throne she'd want. Weeks pass before Ashe is able to make it back to her village, and what she finds is nothing but ruin. She knew that now she was alone. They would hunt in packs, sleep in huddles, fight as blood-sworn kin. They were a family, a tribe, but she is alone, and it was time to move on. With no food to eat, Ashe found herself trespassing on the sacred hunting grounds of the Ursine. But even the smallest child is taught a meal too easily found is nothing more than bait. However, for Ashe, the realization of that came too late when she began to hear a thundering roar. Just then, a giant worm-like creature breaks through the ice, looming over Ashe. Ashe prepares herself for the worst. But then there's another cry, but this time from a person. The only people to walk these lands were known as the Ursine. They were fearless, savage, and cannibalistic. They have forgotten they were men, which also came about another name they were known as, the Lost. Ashe has never seen one before. That is, until that day. The woman who cried out stabs her glaive into the worm's body, and then its head. The worm begins to shake violently, and the woman is thrown off. But just as it goes down to bite her, an ice arrow pierces the side of the worm's head. The worm groans in pain, and the woman asks, "So magic hurts, huh? But it's my glaive that kills you." Together, Ashe and the woman slew the beast, but in the end, it was Ashe trespassing on the Lost One's hunting grounds, and the Ursine are not known for being kind to trespassers. Ashe aims her bow at the woman, but then lowers it, and the woman asks, "What is she doing here?" Ashe says she didn't mean any insult to the Ursine tribe. She was starving and needed food. The woman asks, "Ursine?" The woman lowers her hood, saying she's going to guess and say that they have never seen a Lost One before. Gods, don't you recognize me, Ashe? Ashe calls out, asking, "Sejuani?" Ashe runs over to hug Sejuani, saying when her tribe stopped coming to the Orncal Rocks in the summer, she thought that she'd lost her. Sejuani scoffed, saying it's because a coward replaced her grandmother, Hejian, as War Mother. But never mind that. Where's her family? Ashe explains what happened, and Sejuani sighs, saying there is no justice anymore. But come, they must quickly cut up this meat and get out of there before the Ursine find them. The next morning, the two head out on Sejuani's boat, and Sejuani says she thinks the same is happening with their tribe. The frost priests are like a slow poison. They trick the weak with their healing arts and spells. They want only the feeble in power. It is the strong that must lead. It is the strong that must try the impossible. Ashe laughs, telling her that she will become a fine war mother one day. But speaking of, what happened to her grandmother? Sejuani says she was betrayed. But it doesn't matter. They have to focus on her now. The new war mother hates her, and she will not be too keen on a stranger coming in. A week passes as the two gather more food for Sejuani's tribe, but they both already knew that they would need to convince the tribe into acceptance before the priests caught on. But as they get closer to the docks, they see that the War Mother is waiting for them already. The War Mother asks who is the stranger, and Sejuani tells her she helped her defeat a Grelfine and help bring in fish. But before the two could go on, the frost priests of the tribe pushed their way through, saying they should not be so trusting of an outsider, Kalkia. Kalkia holds out her glaive, saying she will only offer shelter to those who tell the truth. What is your name, and where did this bounty come from? Everyone stares, and Kalkia calls out again, asking her where the food came from. And after looking at Sejuani, Ashe says they got it on the open ocean. A Grelfine attacked her ship, and Sejuani was there to save her. Sejuani then says she fought with courage. Half of the kills were hers. Kalkia leans forward, saying she will decide who they share food with, daughter. And Sejuani leans in, saying there would be no food without her, mother. Ashe heard about Kalkia before, or at least stories of her. No one even uttered her name. It was forbidden. People knew she had abandoned her family and tribe. Her name did not exist in the Winter's Claw song. She simply did not exist, other than an unspoken shame. But she's here. Ashe helps unload the boat, but as the priests watch, one asks another, what should they do? A second priest says they must have patience. There is not enough food, and when it runs out, she will be theirs. Later that night, the tribesmen gather for their feast, but inside Sejuani's hut, Sejuani prays. She kneels before the set of armor of her late grandmother, saying she knows why she was sent away. But things are different now. She can do it. She has her friend here. So before dawn, she will march towards their vengeance. Sejuani then sets out and pulls one of the tribesmen aside, saying tomorrow at dawn, they move. Urkath says he's guessing the War Mother has not approved of this raid, and Sejuani tells him no. If there are no witnesses left alive, how would her mother find out? But elsewhere in the settlement, one of the priests asks Ashe, what is her name? And Ashe reluctantly tells them. The priest then says, Grenna's daughter. Yes, Malcolm had much to say about her. Ashe asks, were they the ones who ordered him to betray their tribe? And the priest says Malcolm wished to protect her, even after her mother pursued heresy. The priest then turns to the crowd, asking why should this liar, outsider, and heretic eat while they starve? Do not be fooled by her appearance. She is damned. The The priest begins to bring out a knife, but before they could strike, Sejuani leaps through the flames of the campfire, hitting the priest with the butt of her glaive, saying, "Back off!" The priest shouts that the woman has tricked them into thinking she is their friend. The spirits know her. She is a betrayer. Sejuani shouts the only spirit she cares for is in these drinking horns. Winter's Claw, hear me. I am Sejuani, Iceborn of War Mother Kalkia. I brought you this feast, and I would name this outsider as my battle sister. I say she will prove herself before the next moon. What say you, Ashe? For Ashe, pledges like this were only done after endless ceremonies and discussions. But as Sejuani holds out her drinking horn, Kalkia pushes through, telling Sejuani she is too bold. Tonight is not the night for rituals. Their tribe is poor in food, but rich in mead. In the morning, she will decide what to do with this outsider. As the tribesmen return to their homes, Urkath tells Sejuani they are ready. Sejuani says, "Good. They must go now then." Ashe asks, "Right now?" And Sejuani tells her yes, it must be tonight. The frost priests will kill her. She will not let her be killed. Now come, share blood. They can make their oath now. Sejuani takes a knife and cuts into her hand, drawing blood, reciting the pledge. I will guard you as a sister does. I will protect your children and bear your pain. I name you kin, Ashe of the Avarosan. I name you as mine. I name you battle sister. Sejuani holds out her hand, and then Ashe cuts into her, reciting the same pledge, and the two shake. Later, Sejuani sets out on her raid, and Ashe follows. But as they get to their destination, Ashe asks, "What are they doing?" Sejuani tells her this is the home of the Betrayal tribe. They share their hunting grounds, but lack any Iceborn. Ashe then asks, "So they sneak in and take what they can and escape?" And Sejuani says, "Not exactly." Just then, one of the huts burst flames, and Ashe shouts, asking, "What are they doing?" One of the raiders attacks an unarmed man, and Sejuani says she is fixing their problem with their tribe's food supply. One of the Betrayal men huddles the children together, asking, "What is this? They are allies." But Urkath tells him not anymore they aren't. Sejuani then tells Urkath to quit playing. No witnesses. Urkath raises his sword, saying, "Sorry, old man. Time to die." Just as Urkath goes to swing, he is struck with an ice arrow, and Sejuani shouts to ask, "What is she doing?" Ashe tries to say that they can't do this, but Sejuani yells over her, saying they were forced into a treaty with these parasites. They are oath-breaking that treaty, and they can have no witnesses. Not until she takes leadership from her mother. They are battle sisters. She is bound by her order. Ashe turns and rushes at Sejuani, saying they can't, but Sejuani calls out, giving the order to cut them down. Ashe jumps back, pulling on her bow, shooting at Sejuani's glaive, telling her no. They can drive them off instead of killing them. Sejuani shouts they are Iceborn. She survived only because destiny led them together. Ashe releases several arrows, telling her no. She doesn't believe in destiny. Sejuani deflects the arrows, charging into Ashe, saying she is doing what must be done so that her tribe may live. Ashe yells, "The tales they recited as kids, this is not what heroes did." Ashe starts to get up and lunge, but Sejuani grabs her and throws her back to the ground. Sejuani tells her the strong take from the weak. To lead, they must be willing to lie, kill, and to sacrifice as needed. Ashe says she can help her become War Mother, but if she is her sister, then at least honor the words spoken before. The strong must try. Let her take the Hearthbound across the ice sea. Let her try. Sejuani pushes Ashe down again, but instead of striking, she turns, taking her tribesmen, and tells her to go. Go and never return. But if fate does cross their paths again, know this. She will be named a traitor and an enemy. Ashe calls out that she will always be her sister. That will never change. But Sejuani tells her, next time, she won't have a choice. And so Sejuani takes her tribesmen and leaves the burning Betrayal encampment to Ashe. All of the Betrayal tribesmen bow before Ashe, telling her that they thank her for her mercy. They are now her thralls. Ashe tells him, Iceborn or Hearthbound, she will take no slaves. They are people. She accepts them as Avarosans, kin of her kin. The Ebertal prepare their boats, and as they set out, Gura Axehand asks how should they address her? Scarthane? Battle Maiden? Ashe looks out to the open sea, telling them that they will refer to her as War Mother.
And there you have it, guys. Dan has brought you the first of the League of Legends comics. And if you enjoyed this, Dan will bring you the rest of the League of Legends comics. Like I said, I don't actually play the games, so I don't get very hyped up about things that I don't have a lot of knowledge about. And League of Legends just happens to be one of those. So for you League of Legends fans, if you want more of this, let us know in the comments down below. And my team, the Comicstorian team, will bring you more of these stories with Dan bringing you the presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want to get caught up on some of your favorite pop culture elements on a regular basis. You can also give this video a like if you don't want to take the time to go ahead and give us a comment that you enjoyed Dan's presentation. And I'll see you guys next time right here.